Good evening. My name is Bentro Njoe, and this is Perspective. And on tonight's show, we are discussing some of the things that are happening in the country as we speak. And you will bear me witness the locust, the desert locust invasion has been something that has also nagged the government, leave alone the people in the northern part of the Kenya. And joining me on set to discuss these plus other issues in the northern Kenya, including the BBI report and its progress, I'm joined by the chairman of the Economic Freedom Party of Kenya, Isaac Abi.
Thank you.
Isaac Hassan Abi.
Yes.
Welcome, and thank you for gracing the first episode of Perspective in 2020.
Thank you for having me. Happy New Year.
Now, you are from the Economic Freedom Party of Kenya. Briefly, tell us about this party, because somebody even asked me as I was entering the studio, which party? Yeah, but kindly.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yes.
For the benefit of your viewers,
yes.
Economic Freedom Party is actually among many political parties that's affiliated to Jubilee.
Okay.
So we are within the greater Jubilee families. And Economic Freedom Party was actually formed back in 2017, 4 months to general elections.
Okay.
And at the moment we have 5 members of parliament, and also we have around 27 members of county assembly. We are both majority at the county level and also at the national level in terms from Mandera County. That's where we had our humble beginning.
And do you have perhaps any legislators who are affiliated to your party?
We at the moment no, basically because since we are ourselves we are already affiliated to Jubilee. Therefore we are working within that framework of affiliation and agreement. Even though unfortunately Jubilee has actually backtracked on some of the agreements that we had and some of the anticipation our supporters had, and they have backtracked on that, and we are a bit disappointed, but we are still there.
I know we are operating on a very short or limited time, but maybe perhaps you can mention one of the things that they have backtracked on.
Yeah, we had actually a wide range of agreement in terms of when we joined, and we decided to support them because at that time we didn't have the presidential candidate fund. So Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta was our preferred choice, and therefore that time we had an agreement, and which he himself was actually party to, and we were promised that basically we in terms of employment, in terms of our appointment in the government and sharing of resources. Maybe you are actually aware that basically Jubilee and ODM got a lot of money, and we are supposed to be actually a beneficiary by extension to that. So they have backtracked both of them, but we are still on our side. We still respect the agreement that we had with them, and therefore we are hoping that one day His Excellency Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta will remember the commitment that he had made to the people of Mandera County and to honor it before his term expires.
Okay, now switching gears, what is the situation? We've seen on social media, on television, we've heard on radio and other forms of media about the desert locust invasion. Question one, what is the situation on the ground? Because we are relying on what we are seeing on the screen, what we are hearing from our leaders. And secondly, do you think perhaps the government has really tackled the issue well, bearing in mind that on December the 18th, Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, which is an international body, had already predicted that there will be a locust invasion in the Horn of Africa. And of course, the northern part of Kenya, by extension, falls in the northern, in the Horn of Africa.
Yeah, the situation is actually much more serious than reported and basically highlighted in the media. Because what is happening is that so far 4 counties has been affected. Mandera is actually the worst area that has been hit because both the 7 sub-counties have been affected. And this is an area that is semi-arid region that has actually very little vegetation. And therefore, when basically that now with the coming of locusts and area that has already been affected, we already people are feeling basically serious effect in terms of, because there is very little vegetation that has been left for the animals to feed on. And because we are the major, our activities of the region is a livestock, and if the livestock does not get enough pastures, and then it means basically that the situation is going to be very serious. And then you also need to have that we have just came from a very serious, long drought that had severe impact in the region. Our people lost actually 50% of their livestock. And now the remaining one now actually is in the process of recovering or recovered or in the process of recovering. And therefore, when now this thing hit us again, it is a serious setback, and people are actually, like you have seen in some of the social medias and even the medias, that people have resorted to the crude way because they have nothing else. People are using their bare hands, they're using sticks, they're using, like motorbikes, horns, a car. You can imagine basically what that can do to it, the little impact it has on that. So I know the government has taken a bit of initiative recently, but it is a case of too little, too late, because they knew this thing has been reported in Somalia and in Ethiopia and that region in Horn Africa, and people knew that this thing is actually heading in our direction. So we are getting a daily report, and people have been making a lot of noise, and therefore whatever that is happening at the moment is not sufficient, not enough, and therefore we wanted the government actually to take this thing very serious and basically to provide enough resources and capacities, because people lack capacity. County government alone cannot be able to.
And still on the same, some food security experts have mentioned that one of the solutions could be a task force on the same, because we are looking at a problem that has occurred, and the government fast reaction has been knee-jerk reaction, and plus these things decimate as an area within minutes.
Yeah, it is, because if you, the people we have been communicating to the people on the ground on the daily basis, and if you see the area, just basically somebody record for you the area before it is being hit as this thing moves, and then 30 minutes later they show you the effect it had on that. You can see the trees completely without leaves, without anything. And the area has been devastated, and like I said, I don't know how else to explain, but the situation is in a serious need, and therefore there will going to be a serious impact, and there will going to be an outcry, I'm sure, after the whatever that we go through it, and hopefully we bring this thing to an end before it causes more problems for the rest of the Kenyans.
And still on the same, the national preparedness. How have you seen, or how have you noted the government reacting to it? Remember, most northern part of the country has been mentioned, or it has been called marginalized area. And you have been, of course, we've talked about the drought. What about the national preparedness into this? Because these locusts are not only designated to attack the northern part of the Kenya, they can attack any part of the Kenya.
Yeah, what we can be able to say is, if I take you back when I was in primary school, early 80s, we used to have within Mandera County, for example, Mandera town, where I went to school, there is a lot of, we used to have a storage that has been initially planned, and basically they stock some chemical that is in preparation for just in case something happened.
Yes.
With that, then it disappeared all of a sudden, and there was no activities. It was like people may assume basically that that thing does not even exist, or it may not happen. So it was only that even after it is being reported, the government and both at the county level and national level were very slow to respond. Yes. I don't know whether they don't believe it or they don't see it, yes. But it only basically started and reacting to the situation when they see the effect it has.
But you can comfortably say that the efforts that the government are taking are bearing fruit, right?
At the moment, yes, but with a little, because what I can be able to say is, for instance, there are few aircraft that has been stationed at the moment in Wajir.
Yes.
There are some chemicals that has been ferried to there. It's not enough.
Yeah.
What is required is basically they need to mobilize the locals on the ground. And I've just seen basically the use of the hand use spray or things like that. They need to be distributed to area that has not even so far has reached, because at the moment it's only confined to the area where the locust is at the moment. But otherwise, this thing is like it is spread, and actually to the within a shortest period to the large areas that you cannot imagine, and it multiply by minutes and by hours, and therefore we feel that. What is happening at the moment on the ground? Okay, it has an it's a move in the right direction, but it's not sufficient.
Are we staring at a food crisis in the northern part of Kenya?
Yeah, definitely. Again, this thing is happened when people, what happened was for the sun. People may not know that in Mandera County, for instance, that we have a River Dawa, and people used to grow a lot of maize during the rainy season along the river. And then recently also, with the help of a county government, people have started planting sorghum. There is a lot of it, especially in Takaba and Banisa sub-county. Yes. Now, unfortunately, when this thing comes and people have no way of doing it, then it means there is going to, when we thought maybe this time our people are start getting right, then we are hit by this locust invasion. And therefore, it's a serious setback. But we hope the government will be able to really prepare for aftermath of this situation.
Allow me to cross over to the BBI, because since it was launched, everybody was told you should read and understand. First things first, we have issues when we are getting food and other commodities in the northern part of Kenya. Has this document really gotten to the ground?
Actually, what I can be able to say is that we consider ourselves very lucky.
Okay.
As a people of, especially from northern Kenya, especially Mandera County. What happened was back in 2010 and 2011.
Yes.
We have been having an issue of a lot of, our area is least developed. We have no way of getting out of that situation. We always have, we have become actually a baggage to the rest of the Kenyans. And therefore, what happened was our leaders, once they're elected, they come to Nairobi, they buy the house, and then they disappear in Nairobi. So once you elect them, you'll never see them. And then the election also becomes very expensive, to be honest, because of the size of the area. And it's one of the most expensive election, actually, as compared to the rest of the Kenyans. Therefore, we came together. We had a delegation of 4,000 people, and we deliberated in a place called, one of the sub-county called Takaba. We deliberated with our professional, with, religious leaders, all sectors, youth, women. We deliberated for 2 years. We came up with document that I can be able to say is similar, 70% is similar to what BBI to the BPI report. Okay. So that actually for us, it was like whatever that we did at the local level has been nationalized for us.
Yes,
so for us, we have that
it's
advantage.
it was a little bit easier.
It was a little bit easy because it was the outcome and the recommendation is similar. That's how actually in 2013 the people of Madeira County went and voted in one block. Actually, people are literally handpicked, and they were said, okay, that's how people like Governor Ali Roba, who has been a pilot at Wilson Airport, people like C.S. Adan, Abdullah, basically, who has been a banker. That's the way they have been brought to be able to represent, because people thought
and the document itself. What about the BBI document itself?
Yeah, the BBI itself, what happened was, of course, the literacy level in the region is quite low. That is something that I'm not going to hide, and therefore, if I say that everybody has read and understand is that, but I can be able to say the few ones who are lucky enough and go to education, educated, we read the situation, basically that. And therefore, what we did was, when the BBI came as a party, EFP, we said it was actually, we had our own reservation, especially about the issue of wage bill. That is the biggest concern, actually, and the fear that we have in that, because with creation of that, without showing how they are going to reduce the wage bill, then it's going to be a big concern, because at the moment, the bigger concern, the biggest problem to the Kenyan at the moment, the economy, which is really down. So with that, the rest of the things is actually because we find it is quite in order, but it requires a fresh input and people basically to give an ideas. And therefore, we have already spoken and pronounced ourselves and say that we are fully behind it, but the document is just a move in the right direction that requires an input from basically, and requires to be harmonized by the rest of the Kenyans, and because
And your party EFP did support the extension of the BBI.
Correct.
And why is that? I remember a lot of people from the northern region talked about now we need experts. Why did your party decide to support the mandate, the extension of the mandate?
We believe at the end of the day, the people who have been given the extension, the people who have been handling, actually, they have a quite serious people who can be able to have. But of course, there are also going to be that we haven't seen their mandate actually, and what has been in the new, we have not seen that. But it is actually, we find it's least, because if now they start appointing new team, everybody will lobby, even EFP. We want to have our own person to be representative in that. Each and every person in the rest of the Kenya will start lobbying. We want our person there, we want our person there. So it will create a problem. And therefore, if they basically extend it for the committee that was handling, and we're hoping that they will consult the right people and the right individual, then that will be the best way to go. But I can be able to say that we are hoping that we'll be given an opportunity to give our input and same as to the rest of the Kenyans.
Indeed, you've talked about literacy levels being quite low in the northern part of the country. Have people like chiefs, religious leaders, opinion makers, have they really tried to talk to people who perhaps are not learned enough to understand the contents of the document?
Yes. What happened at the moment, luckily we have, of course, there are a bit of social media, basically in a vernacular language, and especially WhatsApp is playing a very big role. And therefore people are relatively, basically people have, even some guys who are from the region who are in diaspora. Well, basically, I've seen some of them are translating the document from you know, from page by page, trying to
Yes.
tell people this is what it contains. So it's actually giving some sort of people freedom
Yes.
from the politician, because the politician will tell you what their mind is, what they want.
Yes.
But now people are getting the better option,
Yes.
that they can be able to from an individual, that
Yes.
they can be able to have no political ambition on that kind of things.
Uh-huh.
So with that, that is a bit helping. We are also trying our best through MCAs, you know, in every opportunities that we get to explain to them what is happening.
Yes.
But there is more to be done, to
Okay.
be honest.
I know this might not be your everyday cup of tea, but the Nairobi County Governor, Mike Sonko, has just nominated Madam Kananu as a nominee for the deputy governor's slot. What's your view, and especially leading a party affiliated to the ruling party? What is your take?
What I can be able to say, it is unfortunately it's one of the areas where Jubilee has let us down. And sooner or later we're going to pay a price for it, because what happened was they had such a shambolic nominations that has actually resulted in people who are not supposed to be nominated to a certain position being nominated. And therefore what I can be able to say, they have also let it, this high issue of handoff, because the Nairobi County has been in crisis for a very long time. Our senators actually, the Senate, which is supposed to be the oversight and supposed to be doing, have let us down. Actually, they're on the, instead of actually representing people, they represent the wrong people, the ones who have been accused. You have seen them rallying behind people who have been accused of corruption or that kind of thing. That's where the interest actually is not with the electorate, and the interest lies seem to be with the individual that is seem to be passive. So what I can be able to say is, as far as the nomination is concerned, it might not see the end of the day, because the light of the day, because what is happening is that anybody can go to court and nullify it, because now that he's not in a position to do, and it's simply illegal. I'm not a lawyer, but that is what the way I see from where I sit.
Okay, my director tells me we should pick up the pace. But a final question, the census. I remember a lot of people, and especially from the northern part of the country, did dispute the census report. As we wind up, kindly. Our view in that situation has not changed as a party, and also basically in the local, because we know that whatever the result that was announced, there is not reflecting the true picture on the ground. Okay. I can be able to say that you cannot say on one hand, Mandera, whatever the region, northern Kenya, has the highest birth rate, and also it has the highest, household numbers. And then you come up and say the area like Mandera County has actually, instead of, they have lost over 100,000.
Over 100,000.
Yes.
Actually, if in other part of the world, the government by now should have actually declared and formed task force to find out to investigate what has happened to these people. Have they gone? Have they disappeared? Have they been hit by a certain calamities that is not? They should have been by now busy digging out what has happened to over 100,000 of Mandera County. Have they? Yes.
Thank you. Indeed, I'm so sorry, but we've run out of time. But we have been speaking to the chairman of the Economic Freedom Party of Kenya. It's an affiliate party of Jubilee, trying to touch on some of the issues that have already been happening in the country, and especially when it comes to the northern part of the Kenya. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, I'm Ben Troy. Enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Pleasure. Thank you.
Yes.